What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Johnny K Picks. And in this video, I'll be going over my full card picks and predictions, along with the bets that I'm looking at so far for UFC Atlantic City, Blanchfield versus Fiorot. Now, first things first, please hit the like button for me, subscribe if you're new to the channel, or if you just haven't yet, turn on the notifications so you know when I put out my videos, when we have our live streams throughout the week. Leave some comments below how well you did, how awful I was last week in the last card. And check out the Patreon, patreon.com/JohnnyKpicks. I put out all my early bets. I put out all my UFC betting cheat sheets. My time prop parlay cheat sheet hasn't really been hitting the last couple weeks, but it's been a couple crazy cards lately. So let's jump right into last night's fun, shall we? So for my picks, I ended up going 6-7. Terrible night at the office. I thought it was a couple more underdogs were going to hit, but they clearly didn't. I think only 2, maybe 3, if you're going to count Yusuf Zalal underdog. But yeah, let's go through it. Like I said, real quick, McParkin versus Usman. Close fight. I do think McParkin won, obviously, but the 30-27 was a little bit weird. I did think Usman won round 1 with the just landing the more damage, but right guy won. Not very impressed with either guy, I'll be honest. So weird fight here. Lima versus Severino. Severino, as you know, he bit Lima in the arm and lost by disqualification. Interesting, but it was a fun fight until that happened. I will say that. It was very high-paced back and forth. I did think Lima won the first round just by landing the more damaging shots, but he ended up winning anyway. So Daria versus Rendon. I mean, I saw some people thinking Rendon won, but honestly, I really thought Daria did the more striking, did the more damage, and the judges are going that way now. So you got to give it to Daria. I didn't think Rendon did too much other than really hold up Daria against the cage and didn't even land any shots. So Daria won. Not very impressed with her, I'll be honest. So we'll see what happens with her. Aaron's versus Win. Very fun fight. Aaron's clearly won that fight. He looked amazing. Win's very tough. He just needs a little bit more work. But Aaron's is a really good striker with good kickboxing. He had the power advantage, I thought, too. But good fight. We'll see what happens with him. Miles Johns versus Cody Gibson. At least one of the bets that I got right. Johns got it done 29-20. I thought he won the first 2 rounds. Round 3 was even close, but maybe you can give that to Gibson. I don't know what the scorecards were. I don't know exactly what the judges gave him, but 30-27 wasn't really crazy if somebody did, but it was 29-28 unanimous. So good win from Johns. He does still slow down as the fight goes on, but he doesn't death gas. And Cody was just getting a little touched up. He didn't really do a lot, to be honest. So good win from John on a short notice. Crazy fight here. Arosa versus Ramos. Arosa came back and won the fight. Ramos rocked him, went to the ground with him for some reason, and got guillotined like he did in his last fight against Jourdain. Very poor fight IQ. And yeah, just never going to bet on this guy. If I do bet something, it's going to be against him or the under. I'll tell you that. Ogden versus Halabau. Awful bet. I bet Halabau to win. I thought he was going to look a little bit better. Trey Ogden just has the best top game in the lightweight division other than maybe Makhachev. I mean, this guy controlled Halabau for probably 13 and a half minutes or more. So, and Halabau had literally no answer, couldn't get up, and didn't do anything. So good win from Ogden. I will know going forward what his game plan is, and if his opponent can't do that or get up, then I'm going to be picking and betting Ogden. Fun fight here for how long it lasts. Padilla versus Puello, and Padilla looked amazing. I picked him to win, but I wasn't super confident, and he showed he is freaking dangerous, dude. So very, very solid win from him. The fight that destroyed my night was Billy Q versus Zalal. Zalal looked good, but is that more so because Billy Q, I don't think he looked good at all. And I don't know if there was an injury or not, but man, he looked the worst I've ever seen him in the UFC. Like awful. Striking wasn't even good. Terrible submission defense. Literally zero takedown defense. Everything was just bad. But I don't want to take anything away from his law. Good win. He got the rear naked choke, got the finish like he should have, because Billy Q looked that bad. And I will know that going forward, picking Billy Q. Peyton Talbot is the truth, boys and girls. Wow. That's all I'm going to say about that fight. You should, if you go back and rewatch it, this guy is insanely good. Insanely good. Another comeback win, Edmond versus AJ Dobson. Dobson lit up Edmond a few times on the feet. His legs were going all crazy. And what did Dobson do? Tried to go for some takedowns when he was doing good on the feet, and then end up getting knocked out himself. Terrible fight IQ again. That was the theme of the night, is just bad fight IQ. So good win from Edmond. He got it done, came back. Speaking of bad fight IQ, Justin Tafa versus Carl Williams. Tafa was landing on Carl Williams. But what did he do in the first round after he lit him up? Jumping knee to the face and gets taken down for the whole round. Second round, tries to do a high kick, gets taken down, controlled the whole round. Third round, doing good. I know he's a little bit more tired, but he's still landing some good shots. What happens? Gets taken down. So, I mean, it's just bad fight IQ with these jumping knees and high kicks. Like, why would Tafa do that to try to get taken down? But good win from Williams. He did what he needed to do and got it done. And then we got Rose versus Hebus. Good win from Rose. She looked good all fight. There was a couple instances where I thought maybe Hebus could take over, but maybe some bad fight IQ again with Hebus trying to take the fight down to the mat with a headlock. And Rose is too good for that. She's going to reverse you and get on top and stay on top and win the round. So happened at least twice, and she won 2 rounds because of that. So, but Rose got it done again. Like I said, crazy fight IQ for a lot of these fights and fighters. But it was an overall fun, entertaining card, if you want to say. But like I said, for my picks, I did end up going 6 and 7, not good. For my bets, I had 7. I went 2, 4, and 1. I did have the Halabal scorecards, no action, so I got my money back for that one, so that didn't count. But ended up losing minus 3.26 units. I had a shot on Tafa. I mean, overall, it was a bad bet because he lost. Billy Q, overall, again, bad bet. I was pretty high on him early in the week, and then all the line movement and all that stuff happened. So who knows if he was injured or not, but still a bad bet because he looked freaking awful. Took a chance on Halabal. Again, bad bet. I had Miles Johns. I was pretty high on him early in the week. I attacked that line early. Also had the under 2.5 and the over 1.5 parlay. That hit, so that was good. And then my time prop parlay, again, it was just awful. Billy Q didn't go over. Peyton Talbot looked amazing. I thought the fight would at least go over 1.5, and it didn't. So either way, just a rough night at the office. Let's put it that way. But it's all right. It happens. That I know a lot of people didn't do as well as they normally do. But it happens. So we're still positive on the year. That's the good thing. And we're just going to have to try to right the ship before we get into the negative. So that's what happened with my bets. But let's jump into these fights for UFC Atlantic City. We got 14 of them. All of them look pretty good. So we'll start the night off. I don't know if this is going to be the first fight, but it is on Tapology. Nate Landwehr versus Jamal Emmers. And Landwehr, we all know Nate the Train, well-rounded fighter. He's got good power. He likes to push forward. He has that dog in him. He does have pretty decent submissions, especially as of late. But he can be hittable just as on the feet just as much as he dishes out. So he's been in a ton of wars. We do know that he can get rocked. He can get dropped. He got dropped in a couple of these fights that he actually came back and won. But yeah, so he's finishing a lot of these fights. I know a couple of them went to decision as of late, but a lot of them were very good fights. Emmers, he's taken this fight on somewhat short notice, but he's well-rounded. He's got good striking with power. We've seen it in his last fight against Dennis Buzukja. And he does have good wrestling, good takedown defense too. And he can mix it in, like I said, here and there. This is going to be a interesting fight. And I'm gonna just ever so slightly. I love Nate the Train. Don't get me wrong, and I don't blame anybody picking and or betting him. But I'm just gonna go with the more technical guy and the guy that I think that can actually get this fight to the mat and do well and slow down Nate, and that's Jamal Emmers. I think he gets this done. I like what I see with this striking as of late. I do think he has that wrestling, as long as he doesn't have one of those um, mind mental lapses, if you want to say, like with Pat Sabatini. He dropped him, went down with him, and then he got submitted. So I don't think, Nate the Train is going to do something like that, like Pat Sabatini, but as long as he's focused and he doesn't have any mental lapses, like I said. And I will also throw this out there. He beat Jack Jenkins. I don't care what anybody says. Emmers won that fight, and Jack Jenkins is pretty tough and durable, and he does like to push forward too. So he won that fight. I don't care what anyone says. So give me Emmers to win. I'm going to say by decision. I just think he gets some wrestling going, and maybe he drops Nate once, but I don't think he's going to be able to finish him. So that's what I'm going with. Next one here is going to be Melissa Gatto versus Victoria Dudakova. And Gatto, very good grappler, very good submissions. Her striking is pretty decent. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but she does want to try to get this fight to the mat. Her takedowns are a little technically not great. She does like to use trips, and she does struggle at times against somebody with decent takedown defense. But she is very strong and she's very durable. Dudakova, she is moving up to flyweight for this fight. She's normally a strawweight, but she's well-rounded. She's got pretty good takedowns, pretty good striking. She does like to push forward as well. She also is a good grappler with good submissions and decent cardio. I will say, though, in her last fight against Frey, she was slowing down a little bit as the fight went on, but she stuck it out and she got it done. But interesting fight here, and I'm going to go with Gatto. And the reason why is Gatto's going to be so much bigger, even though it doesn't really say that on here, and she's going to be stronger, and she's going to be the bigger fighter. She's jacked, and I think the striking is pretty close, and I think also the grappling is pretty close, but I do think Gatto will get this fight to the mat, and I think she can get some win minutes that way, win the control time. I'd like this fight to go over because, like I said, Gatto and Dudakova are good grapplers, and I don't think anyone's going to be submitting anyone here, and no one's going to be knocking out anyone. But it may be Gatto because she's got that power in her hands. So give me Gatto to win. I'm going to say by decision, and I'm actually pretty confident. And I'm not really high on Gatto, but I think she gets this one done. I don't know why. Just a weird feeling. Next one is going to be Ibo Aslan versus Anton Turkalj. So this is in a rematch. They did fight a while ago. Not super recently, but maybe like a couple, 2 or 3 years. Aslan, though, he's making his UFC debut. He's a powerful striker. He's not super technical. He does want to push forward and knock your head off, if you want to say. He can wrestle if need be, but his cardio does fade as the fight goes on. But he is durable, and the volume slows down a little bit. And I believe that's how Anton won. He survived the first round and a half, and then Anton came back and won the fight. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember if it was by decision. No, rear naked choke in the second round because Aslan, and that was his only loss. So Turkalj, though, well-rounded guy. He does have good grappling. He has good takedowns. His striking is meh. It's not the greatest. As we saw in his last fight, he's getting touched up a lot. I think he relies on his chin a little too much. So this is going to be an interesting because Pedro landed a good shot on him and knocked him out, and Aslan can smash. So I'm going to go with Aslan to win. I think he touches that chin, and I don't think Turkalj is going to be able to recover like he normally does. I know he's still young, but he's taking a lot of damage in these fights. Even the Petrino fight, I know he went to decision, but he was getting rocked in that fight. He couldn't survive in the Pedro fight. But if this fight does go over 1.5, I bet you Anton wins this fight. I will say that. So give me Aslan to get the first round knockout. I think he gets it done this time. I think he gets that revenge on that one loss on his career, which is right here. 3.5 years ago. There it is. So Aslan to win by KO is the pick. Wow, why are we up here? Next one's gonna be Julio Arce versus. I want to make sure I did this right. Sorry, guys. Okay, yeah. Next one, Julio Arce versus Herbert Burns. So Arce, very good technical striker, good boxing. He can wrestle and grapple at times, but he's gonna probably want to keep this one on the feet for sure. He looked. I mean, Montel Jackson, it was a pretty close fight back and forth. Montel did win that fight, though, but he's a very good striker with good takedown defense. And Burns is a very dangerous grappler. He does have decent striking, but it's not the greatest. And the thing about him, though, is he fades. He fades hard after the first round. He goes all out in the first. And then if he doesn't get the finish or he doesn't get finished, he's going to get finished. And then the last fight he did fight, which about a year and a half ago against Bill Algeo, he basically quit, if you want to say, and I'll say that nicely when he did that. But I got to go with Arce here. I think he can survive the first round storm of Herbert Burns and touch him up and basically get the knockout. I don't want to say by exhaustion, but eventually get the knockout just because Burns is going to be pretty much gassed out by the second and third round. So maybe that's a bet you can look at, Arce by second or third round knockout. But I mean, Burns is dangerous, so you got to watch out about that. So maybe you can also look at the under. I think the line is going to be set at 1.5, but maybe look at the under 2.5 just to be safe. And I think that's probably going to be a pretty good bet. So one of these guys is going to be finished. I'll tell you that. And I'm just going to bank it's going to be Herbert Burns, and probably because he's just going to gas. So like I said, Arce, I'll say second round knockout. Next one is going to be Angel Pacheco versus Cowlin Loughran. So Pacheco, we do remember his Dana White Contender Series fight against Danny Silva. It was crazy, but let me get to my notes. Okay. Yep, he's making his UFC debut in this fight. He's a high volume striker. He's got pretty good power. It's not really like that one punch knockout power. He's more so going to use combos to get you out of there and pressure and pace. He pushes forward. Like I said, he's not really a wrestler, but he does have pretty good takedown defense, and he is super durable, as you saw in that last fight. Danny Silva and him are going back and forth, and I'm surprised both of them survived, but they're both dogs, and it was a great fight. Loughran, though, he's an okay striker. He's more so a wrestler, grappler guy. He does have good takedowns. He does have power in his hands if he does land, but he's not really the most technical guys. Lots of looping strikes, too. Not really anything straight down the middle. And he can be a little hittable on the feet as well. But this is mainly a stylistic matchup here. It's striker versus wrestler, grappler guy. And I'm just going to go with Loughran. I do think he can get those takedowns and slow down Pacheco. But like I said, Pacheco, he does have pretty decent takedown defense. I do think he can survive on the mat as well. And I see this fight going to decision, actually. And I do think Loughran should win. Maybe like a 29-28 decision. We'll see what happens in the third. And it could get a little dicey depending on what happens in the first and second. But I'm going to go with Loughran to win by decision. I think he gets this one done. But Pacheco's a dog. He's going to fight for your money if you want to bet the underdog here. But I just think the wrestling is going to be a little bit too much for him. Next fight's going to be Connor Matthews versus Dennis Buzukja. And Matthews, he's making his UFC debut as well. He's a pretty good striker. He does throw a ton of volume. He pushes forward. Pretty good power as well. But he can be hittable. But he's very durable. And he can wrestle if need be. But he probably wants to keep this fight. He's more so a striker, like I said. And Buzukja, he's a well-rounded guy himself. He's very durable, even though I know he was knocked out by Emmers in his last fight. But he did survive a crazy pace from Sean Woodson on super short notice in that last fight. And but like I said, he's solid everywhere. He doesn't really have the knockout power, but he does have the volume. He does have the pace. He has pretty decent cardio. He's durable. So that's mainly like his main assets here are cardio, durability. So this is a tough fight to predict, to be honest. But I'm just ever so slightly leaning Buzukja here. I do think he's going to be able to maybe out cardio Matthews and maybe just land a little bit more than him. I do think this fight will also go to decision, and I think it's going to be really close. And I don't mind anybody taking the dog here with Matthews. I think he's about plus 115 range. So it's kind of pretty close line. I'm just going to stay away from a betting perspective either way, overs, unders, either side. I'm just going to watch this one. Buzukja kind of scares me a little bit with these 2 losses in a row, and I just don't fully trust Matthews either. So going with Buzukja, I think he rights the ship here, and he beats the UFC debutant. Next fight is going to be Andre Petroski versus Jacob Malkoun. So we all know who Petroski is. He's a very good wrestler with very good grappling, good submissions on the mat. He does have power on the feet, but he mainly throws one punch at a time. And he's always looking for the overhand. I believe he's left-handed, so overhand left. He's not very technical, but he does fade as the fight goes on. He has 2 different kinds of cardio that I if you guys don't know what I'm saying, is on the feet after round 1, he looks like he's swimming in water and he's kind of surviving. But if he ever gets the fight to the mat in the 2nd and 3rd round, you can tell it's a different gas tank. He scrambles, he moves in positions, all this craziness, and you're like, this guy looked like he was gonna gas. And like on the mat, he doesn't gas, but on the feet, that's where he gasses. It's very weird. You have to watch it. But like I said, he is very dangerous, though, with his submissions. Jacob, though, very good grappler himself. He does have good takedowns, good wrestling. He does kind of chain wrestle, if you want to say. He has very good top control when he's on top. Striking is pretty good. Good boxing. He's durable. He's not really the most, diverse striker. He's, like I said, he's going to mainly use his hands. He does have good cardio, but he does have a little bit of a mental lapse because he was dominating Cody Brundage, and then all of a sudden he's just landing elbows to the back of the head, and he got disqualified. So, this fight's interesting. I will say the more dangerous guy is Petroski, but I think Malkoun will survive the first round. And if he keeps this on the feet, I kind of like him to win the fight on the feet. I think he's going to land more volume for sure. And Petroski is literally knockout or bust on the feet. I don't think he's going to be ever able to out volume anybody. On the mat, who's going to get the takedowns? That's going to be the question. But I do think Malkoun's a good enough grappler to stay safe at least. And I do think Malkoun can get the offensive wrestling going too, especially later in the fight. So give me Malkoun to win another decision here. But Petroski is live for a finish. I will say that. I think he might be able, especially first round sub. Look at the props for that. But I'm just going to go with Malkoun. I just think he's a little bit safer here. But man, that stupid disqualification really killed me on my bet. I'll just remember that forever. But whatever, it is what it is. Malkoun by decision. Next one, Virna Jandiroba versus Lupita Godinez. This is going to be a very fun fight. Jandiroba is a very good grappler with very good submissions. Her takedowns are pretty good. She's not really a striker. On the feet, she can slow down as the fight goes on. If she does get those takedowns, has pretty good top control. She likes to wrap up her opponent's legs with her legs and keep them down. But very solid fighter overall. And she's been winning some pretty good fights against Marina Rodriguez and Angela Hill too. So she looked very good in these last 2 fights. But we got Lupita Godinez, well-rounded herself, very good wrestling, very good takedown defense, very strong, very good striking. She is improving more so. I think I said good takedown. Very good takedown defense too. She stuffed, I think, pretty much every fight in the Tabitha Ricci fight. Don't get this twisted. Lupita Godinez won that fight unanimous decision. Whoever gave Tabitha Ricci a 30-27 was high, because Ricci barely won 1 round. So don't look at that split and think, oh, Ricci was close. No, it was clear Lupita Godinez win. But striker versus grappler that can wrestle with good takedown defense. Give me Godinez to win. I do think she is on her way up. I know she's been a little bit inconsistent here and there, but the last couple fights, especially in her last fight against Tabitha Ricci, that what sold me. I think she turned the corner. I think she realized what she needs to do. Her striking is improving. She's in a better gym, and I like what I see. I do think she gets this one done. I'm pretty confident. I'm going to say by decision just because she's just not a finisher. But I do think she's going to land the better shots. She's going to stuff Verna's takedowns, and Verna does not have any striking to back it up. So if Verna can't get this fight to the mat, I mean, Godinez has good grappling too, so she might be able to get back up. We'll see what happens. But I trust Lupita all day on the feet, and I do think she'll be able to stuff majority of the takedowns. Decision. Here we go. Main card now, we got Bill Algeo versus Kyle Nelson. Algeo, probably one of my favorite fighters to watch, honestly. He's just very interesting. Very solid striker with very high volume striking too. Stays at range well. Kind of has a karate base stance. He stays at range around the ring. Mixes in some kicks, knees, all that good stuff. He does. His wrestling and takedowns are just okay, but he's got very good grappling, very good scrambles if he's taken down, very good cardio, and he's very durable. But he can be a little hittable at times. He does keep his hands a little low. Kyle Nelson, well-rounded UFC veteran, solid striking, decent power, good kicks, can mix in the wrestling and if he wants to. Pretty good takedown defense. He's very tough. He's durable, cardio. He's just it's like good everywhere, but he's not really amazing anywhere. I know the speed advantage is going to be with Algeo all day. And Nelson, that age or that win is aging very well against Padilla. We saw him in his last fight. The Blake Builder fight was a good one too. But Algeo's beating Alexander Hernandez and TJ Brown, and he lost a very close fight to Andre Fili. So I'm going to go with Algeo here. I think he is the better fighter here. I think he's a little bit hard. He's a tough puzzle to crack, if you want to say, or if that's the saying, I might have said that wrong. But he's a very tough puzzle to solve. There you go. But Kyle Nelson's, I don't mind anybody taking a shot on Kyle Nelson, but I just think Algeo gets this one done. Again, I'm going to say by decision, unless Algeo can maybe snatch up the neck or something like that. But I just like Algeo's style, and I think it's going to give Kyle Nelson some problems. And I think maybe Kyle Nelson will need to mix in the wrestling, and I don't know if that's the greatest thing for him to do too. So I will say this. I did see on Twitter that Kyle Nelson is a recent father. He just had a baby, and I always am weary about that because usually people with who just had a baby win. And I have that in the back of my mind, but I'm going to go with I'm going with what's on paper. That's Bill Algeo to win by decision, but I think this will be a fun fight to watch. Next one's going to be Nursultan Ruziboev, if I said that wrong, probably did, versus Cedric Dumas and Ruziboev. I'm just going to say Nursultan. I'm probably butchering this. Nursultan, solid wrestler, very good takedowns. I know we didn't see it in his last fight because it didn't last all that long, but he's got very good submissions. He's a very good grappler. His striking, as we saw, was pretty good with good power. The only thing with his wrestling, though, he doesn't really have the greatest control when he is on top. So he does let people up a lot, but he does get them back down. He's very tall for the division. His reach is about 77 inches, I believe. It doesn't say it on the bottom here, but he is pretty tall, and we'll see what happens here. I think he's going to get that wrestling going. But Dumas, though, very aggressive striker. He's got very good power in his hands. He's not really the most technical guy. His takedowns are pretty decent. Actually, he's been using a lot of his takedowns recently, and grappling is pretty decent. His cardio is a little bit of an issue. He does slow down as the fight goes on, and that's when he uses the majority of that wrestling to stay on top and win minutes that way. If he doesn't get the first round finish, but he does have good submissions too, sneaky guillotine, all that good stuff. But I'm gonna go with Ruziboev. I'm just gonna try it out again. I think he's the better overall fighter here. Not to say that Dumas can't win. He's always going to be dangerous early, but I think Ruziboev will be okay in the first round, and he'll get the wrestling going himself in the second round. He's got way more fights under his belt, and Give me Ruziboev to win. I'm going to say by submission. I'm going to say he gets it done. Second round. Let's do it. Should be a fun fight, though. Next one's going to be Chidi versus Reese McKee. So Chidi is a very good striker. He keeps his range pretty well. He does have good elbows, good knees, very good kickboxer. He can slow down as the fight goes on, especially after the first round. He kind of just falls off a cliff. Volume goes. Looks like he's struggling to survive the cardio. Then sometimes if that happens, he gets finished, which it's happened in all these fights except the Jurayev fight. But both those guys only threw 15 strikes that whole fight, probably combined. It was one of the weirdest fights ever. But McKee, solid striker himself. He does have power too. Throws a ton of volume. Stays at range too. Takedown defense isn't the greatest. He can be controlled. Luckily for him, he doesn't have to worry about that. He did have a pretty good showing against Lusa. He almost got Lusa out of there in the third round. So that's something to think about here, because if he still has the cardio in the third round, if this fight goes longer than that, he may be able to get Chidi out of there. But I'm gonna go with Chidi to get this done. I do think he can land land the knockout shot. But man, Reese is pretty durable though, and I just think Chidi's gonna be able to get it done. I don't know why. I don't really maybe trust McKee as of yet. I'm gonna see maybe a couple more fights. I know what I'm getting out of Chidi. I do think he can get the knockout early here, or maybe at least win the first 2 rounds. But the third round, if this fight gets to the third round, I will tell you this: McKee will be live. So you might want to live bet that, but I do think. Oh, and also I forgot to mention this: Reese is moving up to middleweight here, which is another reason why I like Chidi here. He's going to be a little bit bigger, and then the reach advantage too. So we'll see what happens with McKee, what he looks like in the middleweight division here. So Chidi to win by knockout. I'll say early second round knockout. I think he'll knock down McKee in the first, and then he'll finish him up in the second. Next one's going to be Bruno Silva versus Chris Weidman. So Bruno Silva, very powerful striker, huge power in his hands. I think he has 20 knockouts in his career. It's something crazy out of his 23 wins. But he can be hittable at times. He does have some wrestling he can use with some grappling. But the thing about it is he gets submitted a hell of a lot of times. I think he's been submitted 7 times in his career. 20 knockouts, and he's lost by 7 times by submission. It's insane how many times he gets submitted, but he does have pretty good cardio. And like I said, power for days. Weidman, he's got solid striking. He does have pretty good wrestling and takedowns. His chin's a little suspect. He's been knocked out 6 times out of those 7 losses. He survived somehow against Brad Tavares. And because Brad Tavares was lighting up his legs, and that's something you got to watch out for, because Chris Weidman does not check leg kicks at all, and that's why it did not look good in that fight. I will tell you that watching it back. But like I said, he's got solid cardio. He's a dog. He's gonna try to stay in it all fight. But man, I just don't trust him right now. Again, I didn't trust him in his last fight against Brad Tavares. And I'm not going to trust him here, too. I think Bruno's going to get the knockout eventually. He's going to work the leg kicks. I don't think Weidman's going to wrestle or anything. Probably would be a good idea, but I don't think he's going to win this fight. So give me Bruno Silva to win. I'm going to say by second round knockout again, too. I think the leg kicks are going to come and he's going to land a good shot and knock him down. So Bruno by knockout. Co-main event time. We got Vicente Luque versus Njokuani Buckley. Should be a fun fight here. Luque, solid striker with power. He has sneaky submissions, aka sneaky darce choke, so we got to watch out for that. Takedown defense is pretty good. Showed some wrestling in his last fight against RDA, and that was very eye-opening. So he can wrestle pretty decently with good takedowns. But if he does get taken down, he can be controlled off his back, and hard for him to get back up. But he's always durable. He's got good cardio in his last fight, especially. It went 5 rounds, I believe. Was that a 5-rounder? I think it was. I'm gonna look. Yeah, 5 rounds, and he was wrestling for the majority of them. So the guy, good cardio. Like I said, durable too. Just all around good fighter here. Buckley. Where am I? I lost everything. Sorry, guys. He is taking this fight on somewhat short notice. Luque was supposed to fight Sean Brady, I believe, but he is a powerful striker himself. Can be a little wild at times, likes that high kick. Gotta watch out and spinning stuff. But he's got good volume early on. He does slow down with his cardio as the fight goes on. He can mix in some wrestling here and there. But I believe a lot of the times, man, like in the third round, if it gets that far for him, he just kind of survives. And I know a lot of that times was at middleweight, but his last couple fights here at welterweight, he has looked better. I will say that. And he actually looked decent in the third round against Morono, more so than he did at middleweight. So I don't know if that extra weight maybe was slowing him down, but he is looking pretty good. And I'm just going to go with Luque. I just think he's the better fighter. I think he's the guy that's going to take the fight to the mat to win minutes. On the feet, I think he's a better, more technical striker. But like I said, Buckley is always going to be dangerous, especially early. But like I said, the longer the fight goes, I do favor Luque as well. So I know it's kind of a close to a pick 'em. I think it's a minus 150 for Luque. But I think that's about appropriate. And I just like the body of work more for Luque. Luque's fought the better competition in his career. He's still 32 years old. Maybe he wraps up a sneaky darts choke too, because maybe Buckley leaves his neck out there. I know Buckley's never been submitted, but he's been KO'd 4 times too. So he is very hittable. So give me Luque. I wouldn't be shocked if this fight does go to decision, but I'm gonna go with Luque by decision. Wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't either. So, man, I think he gets it done though. I think he's just a better overall fighter at the moment. Main event time: Aaron Blanchfield versus Manon Fiorot. Blanchfield, very good grappler. If she gets the fight to the mat, her takedowns are pretty good. Striking is improving. She's got some pretty good power. She's good volume as well. And on the feet, though, she doesn't really move her head all that much. But like I said, she's improving with her striking game. She is durable. She can take some good shots. She took some good shots against Andrade, and she also took some good shots against Santos. Good cardio too. So she's gonna, and this is a 5-round fight. I believe this is gonna be her first 5-round fight. Fiorot, very good kickboxer, very good striker. She's very powerful, good volume, good kicks. She can wrestle if need be. She does have pretty good top control when she does get the fight to the mat. And she's got good takedown defense, very good takedown defense, and she's very strong. So this is going to be an interesting fight. Now, I would probably say the more well-rounded fighter is Blanchfield, but Manon Fiorot is the better striker, and it's not even close. I don't care what anybody says. I know a lot of people are going to be on Blanchfield, but Blanchfield needs to get this fight to the mat. Fiorot needs to keep the fight on the feet. That's basically how this is going to work out for either woman to win. I'm going to go with the dog here. I'm going to go with Fiorot to win. I like her striking. I think she can keep this fight on the mat. In Blanchfield's last fight against Talia Santos, I know Talia Santos is very strong, but I do rate Manon Fiorot's strength just as strong as Talia Santos. And Santos was able to stuff a lot of those takedowns early. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And as the fight goes on, I think it's going to be harder for Blanchfield to get those takedowns. So give me Fiorot to win. I'm going to say this fight does go all 5. I really do. I think that Blanchfield probably might get a takedown here and there, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Fiorot is going to be able to win at least 3 of these rounds to win the decision. So we'll see who gets their second loss of their career. But I like Fiorot here. I think she's going to land more volume, land the harder shots, stuff the takedowns, and maybe she does get a late finish. I mean, she's very powerful. So this is going to be a very fun fight, but I'm going to go with the dog. I think she's at plus 135 right now. More money's coming in on Blanchfield. So yeah, I don't blame anybody for either girl, whoever you like here. It's going to be a very fun fight. But that is it, ladies and gents. All 14 fights for UFC Atlantic City. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Our live shows this week will be Wednesday night It'll be on Blood Money MMA Bets channel for Defend Your Units. And Friday night, we're going to have 2 special guests. That one will be on my channel this week. We're going to have some fun. This is going to be a interesting card. I wouldn't say it's as sketchy as last one, I don't think, but there's some good fights here. And again, I wasn't really looking forward to it until I did the breakdowns and the research and the tape study, and now I'm a little bit more excited for it. So I think this one will be a good one too. So like I said, thank you everybody for watching. Good luck to everybody in their bets. Until next time, happy fight night.